You're going to receive a book. You'll have 30 minutes. At the end of that 30 minutes, you have to tell us everything about the book. Imagine the worst thing that could happen. You couldn't answer a question, right? Now imagine yourself on national TV.
I'm nervous about anything that's got to do with reading.
Well, I haven't read much, have I? To go to a library, if I go to a library and take a book out, I need 6 months to get through it. So, truly, I wouldn't go to libraries. No.
And I'm out to have, to not let that stop me in life anymore.
I originally started in a class in accounting in 121 in college, and I really had some problems. It was like a foreign language. I just wasn't able to grasp it, and in the first test, I totally zeroed out.
Because I've been used to reading in one particular way all my life, and for me to think that I'm going to change overnight is probably unreasonable.
I've done track for 3 years, and when I run, it's not the way I run at practice. When I continue to photo read, that positive thoughts will go into my subconscious mind and that I'll believe more in myself.
I came from Malaysia. We were very used to memorizing things. All the time you're consciously focusing on trying to memorize and figure out material word by word. And I struggled to finish essays. I spent all my time trying to keep up with the work.
I'm a lawyer in St. Thomas. There's so much that you need to read to keep up. So if you have a lot of preparation to do, especially if things have come up that you hadn't expected, you get very little sleep.
I worked a lot on my personal development. 5 years from now, I will dedicate my time to people living in developing countries, probably mainly Africa and South America, helping teachers, getting new techniques.
Have you ever walked past a book and went, "Whoosh, I need this book, I need this book." And you pick up the book, you open to a page, and that's a page you needed to see? And that's a paragraph you needed to read? And that paragraph answered a question that you have been struggling with? How did your brain know to do that? That's activation. The mechanical steps of activation. We start with post-viewing. We do a little incubation, right? We get into some mind probing, which is revisiting those questions we've formulated. Now we get into some soup reading and dipping, some skittering, some discussion, right? You know the steps, right? If you're not confident in that, then practice the steps. And let me tell you, it's not about the steps. The steps are a big ruse to get you over your hurdle thinking that you don't already know everything that's in that book.
I really wanted to participate in the retreat because it's a chance for me to refine my activation skills.
I've sort of forgotten the power of activation. Still done photo read everything I read.
I've done track for 3 years, and I've really just made my mind up that now, since it's my last year of track, I don't have anything I can not gain from doing everything I can. So I'm excited, and hopefully that will help me a lot.
Think of it beginning with setting the stage. You have to set the stage before you do any activation. When do you start activating? You start activating with your purpose. You set your purpose. After previewing, what do you do before photo reading? You set your purpose. When you're done photo reading, you're going to start activating. What do? Set your purpose. If you don't set your purpose every time, you're putting your brain at a tremendous disadvantage.
Photo reading without a clearly stated purpose is like looking for an answer when you don't have a question.
And then once you get that purpose, you should be able to skim down the page and find the word or find the thought that you're drawn to. And I wasn't getting that. I wasn't getting that thought, that draw to the word.
I really didn't feel like my purpose was very clear. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to get out of the different groups that I was in. I was kind of frustrated, and it was because I hadn't established a clear enough purpose.
Most of the information, if you don't need it right away, you're not gonna find it in the book. If you don't need something, then how are you gonna get it, you know?
When I formulate my purpose and I photo read, I found that it comes together so quickly.
All my life, I've always thought that the print on the page was more important than anything else. So say, for example, I read a sentence, I thought, you know, that's the message that I'm supposed to be getting. But with photo reading, I realized that the most important thing is not what's on the page, it's what's behind my eyes. It's what's actually going on inside of my head.
You don't interact with the pages, you don't interact with the text. It's not the words on the page, it's you with your energy inside of you interacting with this waveform that was that author for a year or 2 years putting that thing together. And you're saying, give it to me. What do I need to know that's going to give me my purpose?
I basically say, this is what I'm after. You know, is there anything in your book that can help me? Whereas in the past it was, tell me what I need to know about this. You know, the thing is, that's not clear, that's not specific, and I want what's in my life right now, what's going to be useful to me.
You tell your non-conscious mind what your purpose is, what it was, and it will provide it.
Purpose is so important. I never ever understood that until this week. Your mind will just stop when you see that word that you need to cue you off on, hey, this is the subject that will basically explain the answer to my question.
When you're doing photo reading, if you have thoughts about what you're not doing well in the technique, then you're typically drawn to those.
Now this is setting the stage for good input here, right? What you're doing with affirmation is you're predetermining the end result. Dr. David Wark did an amazing study of the use of affirmation on the effect of comprehension. And he found a statistically significant increase in a person's comprehension of what they read when they gave themselves positive, affirmative statements of their ability to comprehend this material.
With my friends, I golf, and one of the things that the golf psychologists teach is that when you come up to a hole and you want to avoid something, let's say there's a lake on the left, and you don't want to hit it into the lake. What you want to do is say, I'm hitting it to the right this time, hitting it to the right.
As I photo read, my concentration is absolute. All that I photo read makes a lasting impression on my inner mind and is available to me. I desire the information in this book. Recommended, state the title and author. Simultaneously visualize the cover of the book. Okay, this is good, because how much more of your neural systems are you using when you go from pure auditory into visual? Okay, if you can get a picture of the author as well in your head, even more powerful, because you're connecting in a very deep way then.
The main purpose for me continuing with the photo reading and coming here was I'm out to accomplish being a successful trader of the futures market.
You step up to a book, you envelop that book, and you know, if that book isn't right for you, how long does it take you to figure that out?
There are reasons people are picking up certain books and choosing them, and if they were forced to take certain books, they just wouldn't have the energy or the motivation to get any information out of the book.
Today, when I was photo reading the book that we're going to work through each day of the week, I didn't even want to go through it in the end. I felt I was actually in tears. The tears were there. Lynn said, after I sort of told this to her, she just said, look, this book's not right for you. And I said, what do you mean it's not right for me? This is my life, I want what's in this book.
When we're talking about the power of the non-conscious mind, that's exactly the kinds of things that we're talking about.
Come up to it with a full expectation. Your mind can make that discrimination, flip through the pages, and you decide, is this for me or not? If it's not, move on.
I got to the point where I thought, look, I'll choose another book I bought, which is important to me, and it was called Lasting Love. And I thought, I'll ask for one thing that's going to make a difference for me. And I got the one thing that would make a difference for me in that short period of time, in those last few seconds.
The best learners that were researched were highly resilient, meaning if they did something and it didn't work, they didn't think, I'm a failure, I can't do this, I'm no good.
I've got some books now on loving conscious relationships, and I've been with my husband Daryl since we were like 18, 19, and to have more love and intimacy in the relationship. I mean, we're really good friends, and but you know, when you've been together for 30 years plus, you know, relationships are a challenge, don't you reckon?
Guarantee it. As long as they're carrying this, I'm so lousy at super reading. Guess what? That's the truth, right? Whatever you say, that's the truth. So if you want to change it, it starts with the internal energy around it.
A lot of it has to do with beliefs that we have about ourselves, and I realized that there are beliefs that when I go to practice, I'm more excited versus when I go to a meet. And a lot of my friends, you know, they train for the meet, and it should be that way. And my coach, he kind of picked up on it this past year because he was saying, you know, maybe it's something in your subconscious mind that you beliefs about yourself and how you perform.
No matter what happens, you get up and you play some more. You release, you notice, you respond in a new way. Witness the effects of that.
So I've made my day here today to be one where I can enjoy and play. So enjoy and play with it. I'm getting there.
Resiliency, according to Dr. Al Siebert, is a result of strength in 3 nervous systems. The central nervous system, which is in charge of our thinking, our cognitive visual processing, left and right hemispheric processing, associated with our identity or self-concept. The autonomic nervous system, this is in charge of your feelings. This is your self-worth or your self-esteem. The third is the somatic nervous system. This is in charge of your actions. You strengthen the somatic nervous system, you get self-confidence. All of this is part way before you even photoread, isn't it? Your activation, the secrets of good activation start right here at this stage.
Releasing negative emotions helps me because there's things that we believe about ourselves that aren't true. And if we hold on to those thoughts, then we won't allow ourselves to try anything new, and we won't see our true potential.
I think releasing negative emotions does help me. Let them happen. Don't label them. Whatever they mean, just they're there. Experience them and let them go. They're there to maybe provide a gift for you and as an individual, and once they're gone, they're gone. You just got to work through them.
I really got a lot out of that, and it was just stop resisting. Just accept the way you are and accept that you're perfect in every way. And if you accept yourself the way you are now, then you can take steps and go to where you want to be.
So when you have the attitude going into this, I can do this. Is it going to make a difference? What? Of course it is. Of course it is.
I chose a book about overcoming all my fears and anxieties and guilt, and it was like, yeah, what do I want to get out of this? How can this make a difference in my life? I felt inspired by it.
There's only one person in the world who's going to benefit most from you acting as if this is true. Guess who? Yeah, you are. But you know what? The rest of the world's going to be the beneficiary of that.
The type of work I do tends to make me very myopic and very tunnel visioned with respect to things, because unless I can see empirical data, hard physical proof of something's presence, I usually have a tendency to want to reject it, at least in my line of work. And this is quite a deviation from that.
Look at the space that your feet cover on the floor. How much space is that? That's your conscious awareness. That's how much your conscious mind perceives. Now look at the rest of the floor. Not just here. Down the hallway. Out through the whole building. On and on and on. 15 centimeters, 11 miles. Conscious resource, other than conscious resource. I'm here photo reading this book. Flip, 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 flip. I get done, I close it. I look under my feet. So what did I get from this? I didn't get anything. What's going on? I don't think photo reading works. Meanwhile, over here, there is this part of me which is jumping up and down and saying, I'm over here, I'm on page 142, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here. Come on. Why? Because this is my non-conscious mind. It's all over here. It's so vast. I photo read, but it's connected over here. So meanwhile, my limited conscious mind is looking at this information and thinking, well, I don't think I got anything here. Look. I'm looking to my primary working memory. There's nothing here. Photo reading doesn't work. When it comes to activation, if you try to think that everything's going to be at a conscious level, you really get bogged down.
Even though you know you're using your non-conscious or other than conscious mind, you still sort of think that you're going to know that you know the stuff in the book when you photo read. But of course you don't until you activate it. And even then, it's not the same as just having read a book. It's that when you need the information, it's there, but you don't necessarily know that it's going to be there. It's just there.
During a conversation following a photo reading session, we were talking about a subject I do not feel comfortable about, and the kind of reactions I got from the people I was talking with was, well, you must be an expert on the subject. And I wasn't at all. It was just, to me, it was just common sense, you know.
During the process, it just didn't make any sense. But in the last few minutes, suddenly my mind went click and all this information came together and I could give an overview of the stuff. Sure, I couldn't go into great detail, but I could intelligently talk about it.
Say active. Active. Yes. If you're sitting there with a blank sheet of paper and pens ready to mind map and you're looking under your feet, what am I supposed to mind map? There's nothing here. Is that active? No way. So what do I have to do? I have to go like this. I have to look through the book. I have to ask questions. I hear something. Something's calling to me. It's over there. And you feel yourself going to that place. You open to that page. Boom, there it is. So the idea of activation is get out there and start realizing information doesn't go anywhere. It's you already. And your brain is waiting to show you where it is. Got it?
Stuff came up, a lot of fears about being able to activate and knowing that the best way to activate is to just let go of it and not. The biggest thing I think is that I have to stop looking for the conventional ways of gaining the information, because that's not the way it comes.
All I'm saying is if you change the paradigm, that it's an energetic interaction that we're having, what is light and dark? It's a binary code for on and off, isn't it? Light, dark. That's all that's happening. And these waveforms are hitting this neurophysiology.
Everything is energy and vibration, and everything is connected. It's really all one. And it manifests in different ways. So that the unconscious mind, as you go back into the deeper and deeper parts of the unconscious mind, you're actually going back into that level that actually connects everyone in all life.
I think the unconscious mind is just phenomenal, really. It takes in so much extra information than the conscious mind. And what is really amazing, I think, is our ability to tap into that unconscious mind and really link it back to conscious comprehension, conscious knowing. And I think that's where the potential lies.
The most exciting thing about the human brain's potential is that I don't think that its potential is really known. I'm sure that I'm not aware of the total ability of my brain and my productivity. I'm only now getting a glimpse of what I think is possible for me to do and to develop. But overall, I think that we're really on the threshold of a tremendous breakthrough in terms of understanding the capabilities of human productivity.
I'm a child of the 60s and actually became a lawyer because at that time, that is one of the ways that you felt you could really change the world and make a difference. There were quite a few of us that were not just protecting activists, but were activists ourselves. The whole purpose was to empower people that had historically been denied power over their own lives. And now that is becoming even more important because before it was just like certain groups, but now basically people generally are not empowered.
I spent a lot of time just being in the office, traveling, coming back home at night, and at night I just want to kick back for a little while, but it's already 10 o'clock at night when I get back home, and it's time to get up and start over again. I've missed time with my family. Like my daughter, I used to go see her plays. She's into drama at school, and haven't seen any of them in the last 6 months. So this has been bothering me for a little while now, and I definitely need to make some changes right now.
The issue now is to sort of have people recognize that they still do have power over their own lives and can make a difference. It can really change their world. The theory and the practice of photo reading does more than just help you to read more and to understand more in a shorter period of time. It really begins to activate the real power that's within each of our lives.
If you ask yourself this question, what do I know about this book that can guide me to my purpose? Is that good?
I pulled out a 1,725-page book, and I said, I want to know more things about a remote desktop. Terminal server is actually the proper name for it, terminal server.
I was actually looking for a viewpoint on Locke's philosophy on human understanding.
What signals can I notice inside of me that will guide me to the place I need to go?
When I was activating, my tummy heated up. And today, the most amazing thing happened. My arm started to hurt.
1524. I was just photo reading. Server management, terminal server. I was, whoa, this is amazing.
You're in contact with the author. What question do you want to ask? What's your purpose? What do you want to open up for yourself? That's what it's about.
How did I know that I was going to stop on this last page? So I flipped back a couple pages, kind of trying to find out something. A little topic about that big. It was on the bottom of it, and it said, in the next chapter you will learn about terminal server and how it progresses to the server management. Whoa, it works.
And what I was after, I got. It was just a fraction of information. But as far as I'm concerned, that was a signal for me. Because as soon as I got the information, the arm stopped.
The more I think I can interact with an author, the more I can get into his viewpoint and get what he wants to convey, which is useful to me, immediately out of the book.
I was attracted to a certain part of the book. It was about 3/4 of the way through. And my conscious mind said, come on, the main point of the book can't be 3/4 of the way through. They would have had to talk about it earlier. But I said, okay, well, thanks for sharing, and let's just pay attention to the intuition. And that, of course, was the exact main point, and it was what my partner asked. So what I really got was a sense of allowing myself to be attracted to certain things and parts of the book as opposed to looking for what I quote-unquote thought made sense. And the more I've been giving that up, the further I've been going.
How many of you were raised being told to turn off the radio, sit up straight, turn on that light, sit at your desk, and study like that? Okay? For how many of you is that exactly how not to study? Interesting.
Traditional schooling in the Western world is largely set up on a model that's very old, agrarian. How can we best make workers and farmers and soldiers? And that model really doesn't work so well, but some of the things it teaches us is to always be right. Learning is not about being right. Learning is about gathering knowledge and turning that knowledge through experience into wisdom. And, those types of things just aren't taught in schools. And so we have to unlearn that there's only one way to learn.
When you study, you should study in a way that is your learning style's preference. You have gifts in more than just the first two intelligences. Understand your gifts. That's why we gave you the learning style preferences. Understand the gifts. All of them are available to you. You have a preference for some of them. Use them to facilitate the way you go into these materials.
Understanding my learning style helps me because I know what my strengths are and I can improve on areas that I'm not very good at learning in, and I can take the areas that I'm really great at learning in and use those tools and learn more things from how I learn best.
And for me, I'm a very visual learner, and visual text as well as visual images. And I knew that to be the case, but I think for me it allows me to work with that because it allows me to go towards where I'm better off in terms of my learning style.
Understanding my learning style helps me in a very efficient way because I can learn quicker, more intensive, and more relaxed. Because so with all these things like I'm more visual or I'm more kinesthetic, that helps much to know this.
I'm a visual thinker. I love to visualize things, and when I hear people talk, the best way I remember what they're saying is basically by kind of doing a mind map in my head, and I'll, certain words come to mind, certain images come to my mind, and then I can kind of just put it all together. And then when you read a story, for me, it's only a great story if I can reenact it all in my mind, and that's the way that I learn.
Now, if I put on this hat, and I get my air guitar out, which intelligence am I most used to? There's a certain rhythm to the musical intelligence. It's not so much that you have music going, but that you have a certain rhythm that's going to facilitate the way in which you study.
I cannot have competing music with lyrics or television on in the background or somebody carrying on a conversation. I'm not at my best in those times because I'm a very auditory person.
I came to the conclusion that conversation is a very powerful activation part of the process.
Interpersonal, loves to talk about it. It's very powerful activation technique. In school, they call that cheating.
I know I've got the benefit of photo reading when I am able to share the content of the book and to build on the content of the book through a conversation with other people.
So which one is this? Which intelligence is this? Mathematical logical, absolutely. What's this one? Yes, the one that categorizes and understands how things are separate and connected and that sort of thing. Mind mappers love naturalist intelligence as well. Bodily kinesthetic, right? Got to be moving. I knew a speaker, he absolutely could not sit and speak. He had to be moving. When you're done photo reading the book, the first thing you could do is mentally build this giant sculpture of it out of clay. Just get in there and mold it with your hands and squish all over it and make it into some symbol that represents a book for you. Use your bodily kinesthetic intelligence.
It's not a question of what's easiest. These are all things that you do. So it's not really either or.
Intrapersonal. That's why we put Qigong, energy, opening channels in the morning. We also say notice, go inside, Do the meditation, open those energy channels, keep it going. Pay attention. This is the one that's going to give you that primary consciousness in the moment, right now, aware of the images, the sounds, the feelings that are happening at this moment. The more of these you can use, the better.
It actually had, it broke down the various intelligences that you have, which are really in your other than conscious mind, and gave specific protocols, specific exercises to use to develop them, to develop each of them.
How soon should you be proficient with the book? Immediately upon flipping the pages? I'm talking about at a conscious level. How do we stay aware of our experience and not go into reflective consciousness too soon? This secret is probably the most difficult for all first-time photo readers. It's that ability to be in primary consciousness.
I've always gone into primary consciousness because of the time limits that I set for myself. But it's only when I came here that I realized what it was that made the flow state so effective. And now I know what it is, I can reproduce it.
I was kind of questioning how much I was really activating in the book because it felt like the subtitles were just standing out to me. A couple other things were standing out to me. And the subtitles were really relevant to what I was trying to get out of the book. It just felt like they were standing out to me because they were bigger letters and it didn't really feel like something was popping out.
On any given page of text, 4 to 11% of those words carry the meaning. 4 to 11%. And that means within the context of that page, all the rest of the words are connected to those, but not necessarily salient. So what we want to do is we want to use our activation time to find how much of that text. 4 to 11%, because the other 89 to 96% is connected to that. So we're taking it from whole to parts. Reading has been parts to whole. Photo reading is whole to parts. So what's relevant? What's relevant in this chapter? What's relevant in this section of the book? What's relevant? 4 to 11%. Stay in tune with your peripheral awareness. This exercise, placing your hand over the book, going into the book energetically, that's staying attuned to your peripheral awareness, making a decision, noticing the effect of that. Where's that information coming from? That deeper, non-conscious resources coming to the surface. Those of you who had the experience we're talking about here, when you went back into the book, it was startling how the choice you made was the right one.
It was almost as if, will I know this information? And then inside of myself, I said, trust myself. My inner mind is more powerful and more resourceful than my conscious mind is. And it was just about letting my conscious mind, calm down, don't worry. And I had my conscious mind, I heard it saying, you can't do that. And I sort of said, thanks very much for that, but let's see what happens.
That's what I called you'll see it when you believe it syndrome. If you don't believe it can work, it won't work. If you believe it's possible, it will work.
Whatever you have to do mechanically to get yourself into the book, that's it. Photo reading is an easy enough step, right? Conscious mind comes in and says, I don't know if I got anything out of it. Well, go prove it to yourself then. Prove that you got something out of it. What do you want to know? Have somebody ask you a question. Prove it. I can't prove it to you. You could watch me photo read a zillion books and get on TV and Pete and everybody else, and it won't matter until you do it, right? So do it.
One of the things that came out of this course was the whole emphasis on attitude.
I tend to beat up myself pretty good. I can get frustrated pretty easy when I don't get what I want.
And photo reading, you are never sure. And that may be stressful. You are never sure. You may succeed, and the next time you photo read a book, you feel like you failed. And so what happens? Did I lose the whole stuff, or did I do something wrong?
Someone could say, "You're a failure." What does that have to do with you? That is their opinion, right? The moment you decide you're a failure, now you get to suffer. My suggestion to you is free the energy now.
Whereas before you'd look at a huge textbook and you'd go, oh, I've got to muddle through that. Now you look at a stack of books and you say, wow, I've got the opportunity now to just devour all that knowledge.
You're going to receive a book. You'll have 30 minutes. At the end of that 30 minutes, you have to tell us everything about the book.
But am I going to be up the front doing that?
Could well be.
What?
I thought it was a joke. It is not.
Imagine the worst thing that could happen. You couldn't answer a question, right?
I didn't know we were going to go on stage.
I'd feel pretty nervous.
Now imagine yourself on national TV.
It's the one that's been chosen for me, okay?
I haven't read the book yet. Pete just gave it to me.
Let's just say, look, I haven't had much level of comprehension anyway after photo reading and trying to activate books.
Everybody deals with those kind of fears every day about, am I not getting this? Why is this stuff popping out on the page?
If you have an expectation of yourself and you don't perform up to that expectation, there is a crisis that happens.
It was just not coming together. I was trying to get into it, and I couldn't seem to really get the techniques of activation very well.
At that crisis moment, what will you do? Lower your expectations? If you do, your performance has to follow.
I'm not sure I could do it. I could try.
I would feel that I'd need a miracle to help me answer them.
The fear I have is that I wouldn't be able to answer any question.
Your brain freeze, not remember exactly what you're going to say or what you're going to do.
It's sort of a public event, and I have no possibility to escape, and everybody will know that I didn't do well.
They ask you a question, are you going to remember it? So that would probably be the scariest part about it.
At that crisis point, when your expectation and your performance don't match, you maintain a high level of expectation, your performance will come up. Will it ever meet exactly your expectations? Maybe, maybe not. It's not important.
When you do a challenge like that, you have to believe in yourself and you have to raise the bar for your performance and your expectations of your performance.
I guess I saw photo reading as a way that I could start to accomplish things or do things that other people seem to already be able to do.
I'd be pretty scared, I think, but I came on this retreat for the experience, and hey, if that's what it takes to do it, I think I could probably live it down.
I don't feel perfectly comfortable about it.
If you have that much pressure on you, I'd be worried.
I skydive, and tonight, being on the stage, I see myself just before skydiving.
I've learned that, to get over a fear, you must face it fully.
And to do that, it says a lot about a person to be able to step out and do that. And that's the way, skills are advanced, breakthroughs are made.
I'm on that path where it's a little bit at a time and just keep going forward.
If I could learn to photo read, and if I could get access to this, and I'd be freed up in some way to enjoy my life.
You know what the next step is for you? Take the challenge. The 30 minutes begins now. Tiffany's on center stage, and Dr. Mike Bennett is going to be asking her a series of questions on the book that she has been photo reading and activating.
What are the star, the circle, the compass, the spiral path? There are 3 others. What is the 5th law of money? What are the 6 pillars of fundamental short selling? What are the 5 steps necessary to set the subconscious to work? What is this energy center? There's 2 names for it.
When you recall something, you're using auditory memory. It's good for about 40% of the information you studied.
I believe they represent their cycle of shopping, why they purchased the items.
You're hitting all around it.
that you need to put people first, money second. Something like, I can't quite remember the heading that she had for it.
The first is the balance sheet, the fundamentals of the balance sheet. The second one is eluding me.
5 are...
I know it's something to do with chakras, but for some reason, I don't know, the tribal mind is coming into my thoughts.
If I show you 100 words, 10 minutes, you have 10 minutes to memorize this list, I cover it up, I say, okay, recall as many of those words as you can. You're going to come up with about 40 of those words. Now I show you a list of 200, 100 of which was the original list. And I say to you, tell me how many of these words were on the original list. You will get virtually every single one of them.
Specify, take time, there's a third.
Go with recognition first. They ask you a question, sounds familiar. Let me give you a little bit of what I know about it.
How about if I'll give you maybe a stream of consciousness thought here.
Doesn't it start with an M?
Yes.
For some reason, I'm getting the heart center. It's, I don't know.
Intimate suggestion or something like that?
Here's what I know. I know there's more in there. It'll come to me. Ask me some more questions.
I know it's like representing a cycle of something, because the women's like went round.
And what you'll discover is that more of it opens up.
Their thinking process towards like buying the product.
It is an attempt to understand the thinking process of women, yes.
In the book, he basically goes on about the importance of the Pareto principle in prioritizing, which is a key trait of a leader.
Miss Staley's thesis for the whole book is that she short sell stocks or bets on them going down due to the information found in a balance sheet.
What is right for you first?
Excellento.
They like more hands-on help by sales people.
Absolutely.
The 5th one was don't confuse unconscious and worry.
That's right.
Well, the 3 things that came to me. One is the tribal. Second is individual, and third is symbolic. That's what came to me.
Perfect score. Yes, sir.
Most memory experts will tell you recognition is a low-level memory. Wrong.
There are 5 levels of leadership. Name one.
Can I name 5?
It is absolutely the doorway to get you everything you need.
I sort of suspected I could do it before, but I never thought I'd get the chance to do it, and this was really a good chance to show myself that, hey, I can do this.
I was really started to get a bit anxious when I got given my book.
Just to go up there and to confront several fears and trepidations at once is a pretty cool thing.
I can remember looking somewhere. I was sort of looking places to try and find within myself. I was trying to feel it.
I think I was definitely pleased, and I was even a bit surprised that I did so well.
Hey, I performed, didn't I?
A high school senior up there, in front of 125 people with live cameras running, doing her thing. That's pretty impressive.
I definitely felt like, I can take on the world now.
As I was going through the process of photo reading, it was almost as if my mind was pointing me to certain parts of the book.
And I knew that there was something for me on page 32, lower part of the page.
I knew the information as I was going along, but I found it difficult to sort of capture all that information and take it along with me.
So I went to the page and I basically memorized the key points of that page.
I think that I could actually give a lecture on this, I think, at the moment.
And that it turned to be the answer to the question number 4.
I was surprised when I got up there how, I just felt like a lot of information just came to me, and I was pretty relaxed, and I was pretty surprised about that. I thought I was going to be, freaking out.
I've never had an experience like that, and I think this is just going to change the way I photo read. I've realized I can pull information out much more quickly. I'm going to cut my time. I'm going to cut my study time. I'm going to have fun.
The importance of this type of processing is unlimited in terms of the effect that it can have on your life.
People in general don't believe they have power to do things.
For weeks before I came here, I had this kind of tension in the top of my neck that I went to osteopaths and whatever, and because I wanted to get rid of that before I came, and I didn't.
If you can show them that, look, this is nothing that I have any special gift for.
I just noticed at the end of the day, I'm thinking, wow, that neck stiffness that I've had for weeks and I've been trying to shift prior to coming here, it's like at least 80% better.
You take the course the same as anyone can take the course, and you can show that it works. That's very empowering.
Yesterday, flicking through all those books, something shifted significantly.
What we want to do is want to keep opening up. You have to do that by boldly taking the challenge.
I was reading books about like the Sedona method and stuff like that, letting go of fears and anxieties, and it was more that kind of books that I was sort of zeroing in a bit on yesterday.
How do you explain this to the rational mind? The conscious mind says, not possible. Autistic kid, books upside down? It's a savant thing. We just don't know about it. Baloney. You've got more power than that.
I photo read a book called The Mental Athlete by Kate Porter, and so many things were coming to me that made perfect sense and that were exactly what I needed to hear, and maybe what things that I didn't want to hear, but they were what I really needed to hear. I just was sitting there and I was in awe.
Paul had told us we were going to read between, 24 to 30 books. Well, it turns out that I only did 18 books. So I happened to talk to one of my friends late last night, and I told her, I only did 18 books. And the phone went dead. She said, 18 books in one day, and you're not happy with that? It takes me 18 days to read one book.
The value of photo reading has been mainly being able to do anything you want.
And this whole freedom from feeling like I'm underneath this pile of information.
But because now it will allow me also some other free time, I'll be able to expand my horizon. So now I look forward to having a much broader scope of life experiences.
And I'm confident it's going to help me free up some more time because there's so much out there.
I don't think I'll ever go back and conventionally read a nonfiction book.
If I would have known photo reading when I was in grad school, I think I would have enjoyed the experience a whole lot more. I would have gotten more out of it.
But this power is available in lots of other applications of your life.
being able to learn anything you want, being able to excel in anything you want. You know, I mean, pretty much the doors are open.
At the end, you know, the power is there.
And maybe I'll end up at a library or something, you know, find some area that I like and go, well, let's see what I can put into this genius brain here.
So it's really a fascinating, it's a fascinating sort of concept. And it's even more fascinating is the fact that it works.
The only way that you can get those kinds of experiences is to do it.